He couldn't walk. He couldn't speak. And yet, the world listened. Stephen Hawking proved that the most powerful thing a person can have is a mind that never stops asking questions. But before we start, please subscribe and like the video, it matters a lot to me. Stephen Hawking was born in England in 1942, the exact same day that another genius, Galileo, had died 300 years earlier. Some people say it was destiny. As a child, Stephen wasn't particularly special in school. He liked science and math, but he was never the top of the class. In fact, some teachers thought he was lazy, because he often preferred thinking about the stars instead of doing his homework. But Stephen was curious. He wanted to know how everything worked: the universe, time, gravity, black holes. He asked questions no one else thought to ask. Vocabulary: curious, wanting to know or learn something new. Often used to describe people who ask a lot of questions. Example: even as a child, Stephen was curious about the universe. By the time he was a teenager, his intelligence began to shine. He won a place at Oxford University, one of the most respected schools in the world. But Stephen didn't fit the image of a serious student. He rarely studied, barely took notes, and didn't seem interested in impressing anyone. Still, he graduated with top honors. Later, he began his PhD at Cambridge, focusing on the most mysterious subject of all, the origin of the universe. But something was wrong. Stephen had been falling down more often. He was tripping over small steps. His hands were shaking. One day, he couldn't even tie his shoelaces. Doctors ran tests. They gave him a diagnosis that would change his life: ALS, a motor neuron disease. His brain would stay sharp, but his body would slowly shut down. They told him he had 2 years to live. Stephen was just 21. Vocabulary: diagnosis, the official name doctors give to a medical condition after examining someone. Example: his diagnosis shocked everyone. They thought he was just clumsy. For a while, Stephen fell into depression. He thought his life was over. Why continue studying if he wouldn't live long enough to finish? But then something changed. He met a woman named Jane. She was kind, funny, and intelligent. She believed in him even when he didn't believe in himself. They got married, and Stephen decided he wasn't done with life. Not yet. Vocabulary: depression, a serious feeling of deep sadness that lasts a long time. Example: he struggled with depression after learning about his disease. He went back to his research, slowly, painfully, but with unstoppable determination. While his body weakened, his mind grew stronger. He developed theories about black holes, space, and time that no one had ever imagined before. One of his most famous ideas was that black holes aren't completely black, they actually give off energy. This became known as Hawking radiation, and it changed physics forever. Vocabulary: theory, an idea or system of ideas meant to explain something, based on evidence. Example: Hawking's theory about black holes was revolutionary. As he lost the ability to speak, technology stepped in. A computer voice system allowed him to talk by moving just one muscle in his cheek. That robotic voice became one of the most recognizable voices in the world. And Stephen didn't just sit behind a desk. He traveled the world, gave speeches, wrote books, met presidents, and appeared on TV shows. He even played himself in an episode of The Simpsons. His book, A Brief History of Time, became a global bestseller. It explained complex ideas in a way normal people could understand. It sold over 25 million copies in more than 40 languages. Vocabulary: bestseller, a book or product that sells in very high numbers. Example: his book became an international bestseller within weeks. But Stephen wasn't just a scientist. He was also a symbol of human potential, proof that the mind can be limitless, even when the body isn't. He once said, "However difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at." Even after he was confined to a wheelchair, even after his voice was gone, Stephen kept teaching, learning, and inspiring others. Vocabulary: confined, limited to a space or situation, usually with no way to escape. Example: he was confined to a wheelchair, but he never stopped working. He lived not for 2 more years, but for more than 50. Stephen Hawking died in 2018, at the age of 76. His ashes were placed in Westminster Abbey, next to Isaac Newton and Charles Darwin, 2 of the greatest scientists in history. And yet, Stephen never considered himself great. He often joked, smiled, and reminded people to look up at the stars, not down at their feet. Vocabulary: ashes, the powdery remains of a body after cremation. Example: his ashes were buried near other great scientists in Westminster Abbey. His story reminds us that our limits aren't defined by our bodies, our past, or our struggles. They are defined by what we believe is possible. And sometimes, all it takes, is one mind, one idea, and the courage to ask, why? Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to leave a comment and suggest what famous person's story you want to know. See you on the next one.